Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joe Wilson. I'm very grateful to be serving as the chairman of the Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe, the U.S. Helsinki Commission, and our other colleagues are on the way. We have multiple meetings and so many really good members that I really, and hey, it's all bipartisan. The Commission with Congressman Steve Cohen, who should be here in a few minutes, and on the Senate side, Senator Ben Carson, Senator Roger Wicker, we have Senator Whitehouse. Over and over again, you're going to see Republicans and Democrats working together, and because we want so much, truly, to have fulfillment of security and cooperation in Europe. And even as we begin, it's so sad to me, a land war in Europe. I just never imagined that again to occur. And so thank you for being here. And welcome Minister Ian Borch and Ambassador Godfrey Choi Rep to this hearing on the U.S. Helsinki Commission. This is our traditional exchange of views with each year having the OSCE chairman in office, and it's a clear demonstration of the importance we place on the OSCE and its work. Thank you and your government for stepping up last December when it looked like Russia was going to prevent OSCE from having a chair at all. It clearly demonstrates your commitment to the organization and the principles for which it stands. You have taken on the leadership of this organization at an extremely difficult time. Just 2 years ago, war criminal Putin launched on February 24, 2022, the unjustified and murderous invasion of Ukraine, violating all principles of the Helsinki Final Act and shaking the very foundations of the international order. We need to rethink Euro-Atlantic and global security structures to ensure they serve us effectively today and in the future for mutual security and cooperation. Russia has also stepped up its attempts to undermine the OSCE. We need to work together to protect not only the OSCE values and principles, but also to ensure the OSCE can continue to function despite Russian efforts to misuse the consensus rule. It is crucial to protect the work of the OSCE's autonomous institutions, its field missions, and its ability to address difficult issues like the violations of human rights. It's important that we push back not only to protect Ukrainian sovereignty from Russia's aggression, but also to prevent Russia from moving on to invade other countries that already has occupation in Moldova, Georgia, and Armenia, and threatening Estonia, or for encouraging others to undertake similar attacks, such as the Chinese Communist Party invading Taiwan, or as we see, Iranian puppets, and now Iran itself attacking Israel. Russia must be held to account for its actions. In February, the Commission held a field hearing in Nuremberg, Germany, in courtroom 600, where many of the trials were held that brought the major Nazi war criminals to justice. These trials set the basis for much of the international law that will be used to hold Russian perpetrators accountable. International investigations conducted under OSCE auspices have found evidence, among other crimes, of targeted killing of civilians, and I visited Bucha and sadly saw that, the large-scale deportations of Ukrainian children and civilians to Russia, tortured inflicted on detained citizens and prisoners of war, and sexual violence. It's particularly shocking to see Russia's abduction of Ukrainian children to Russia or Russian-controlled areas of Ukraine where they are forcibly Russified in an apparent strategy to erase their identity. This is a war crime and I believe amounts to genocide, just as Nazi Germany kidnapped Polish children to be Germanized. During a hearing in January, the Commission heard firsthand that three children had been rescued and returned to Ukraine. They described their harrowing experience, including being torn away from their families and siblings and mistreated if they refused to become little Russians. These brave children, who are now working to recover from the trauma they experienced, pleaded for increased international action to rescue some 20,000 children who remain in Russian custody. It is important that the OSCE does everything it can to assist Ukraine in rescuing and healing these traumatized children. And I want to thank Minister Borg for being here today And the Ambassador, thank you so much. And we've been really blessed to, indeed, from the House of Lords, from the U.S. Senate. Senator, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for holding this hearing, and thank you to our distinguished guests. We really appreciate your joining this extraordinarily important topic and your advocacy, as well as your staunch positions that are so important to the future of humanity, as well as democracy and human rights. I'm not going to belabor any of the points that have been expressed so eloquently by the chairman, and just wish to associate myself with them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Blumenthal. And we could tell you it's bipartisan. You get to see it. We could tell you it's bicameral. This, even the ambassador, I'm sure, is impressed. And that is Senate and House. And working together as, hey, I've been so inspired to see OSCE, to see, as we have seen 45 countries, 50 countries, 60 countries join together to resist the invasion by war criminal Putin. And I'm very grateful that Chairman in Office and Foreign Minister of the Republic of Malta, Dr. Ian E. Borge, was appointed Minister for Foreign and European Affairs and Trade of Malta in March of 2022. Before that, he made significant contributions to the development of Malta's transport sector during his tenure as Minister for Transport, Infrastructure, and Capital Projects from 2017 to 2022. Prior to that, he served as Parliamentary Secretary for the EU Presidency in 2017 and EU funds. And we now, Mr. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and honorable members of the Commission, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to address you today in Washington as Chair in Office of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. As you know, Malta assumed the OSCE chairpersonship on the 1st of January 2024 under unprecedented circumstances in the organization's history. We stepped in at the 11th hour to preserve the OSCE as well as its integrity. After short but intensive preparations for our chairpersonship, we crystallized our vision around a motto that captures our approach and priorities: strengthening resilience, enhancing security. Far more than a mere slogan, this is a principle that guided our swift transition into the leadership of this organization. It is a compass to help us navigate the significant uncertainties and threats to peace and security that we face today. Russia's illegal war of aggression against Ukraine, as well as numerous violations of OSCE principles and commitments in recent years in several participating states, have significantly degraded relations among participating states. We have collectively failed to implement our common decisions in good faith. As a result, there is growing anxiety among our people, increasing mistrust among states, and weakening confidence in our institutions. We therefore find ourselves at a critical juncture where the very foundations of the rules-based international order built to prevent war and promote prosperity are facing unprecedented challenges. We have been witnessing the erosion of this order, a shift towards a world where the rule of law is increasingly overshadowed by the principle of might is right. Despite promising to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, we are back with a full-scale conflict on European soil. Russia's words and deeds risk dragging us back to darker times we promised ourselves to leave behind. The physical suffering and psychological human trauma that this violence continues to inflict on civilians, particularly innocent children will haunt us for generations to come. At the helm of the OSCE, Malta is profoundly conscious of the critical crossroads before us. We recognize that enhancing security is intrinsically linked to strengthening resilience. Our island nation, though small, is steeped in a history of overcoming adversity through endurance and unfaltering commitment. It is this experience and spirit that Malta brings to the OSCE. By building resilient institutions and societies, we equip ourselves with the tools necessary to withstand and overcome the challenges that will inevitably come our way. A primary overarching priority of our chairpersonship is therefore to strengthen the functionality of the organization, including by ensuring a sound financial basis and steering decisions on its institutional leadership, both in terms of the top executive officers and future OSCE chairs. The credibility and positioning of the OSCE in the global political and security architecture remain at stake and must drive our search for the right candidates in these critical times. Moreover, we will harness the organization's capacity as a platform for dialogue to address regional conflicts within the OSCE area. As a neutral nation that constantly advocates for peace and security with a clear and transparent agenda, Malta will remain true to its vocation, putting emphasis on diplomacy as we persevere and strive to be a voice for dialogue, tolerance, and understanding. Across all our work, we are constantly looking at incorporating an inclusive approach to security by mainstreaming gender and increasing the meaningful engagement of youth in the discussions that take place. In charting the course of our chairpersonship, we are committed to a robust and dynamic program across the OSCE's 3 dimensions. In the politico-military sphere, we are putting particular emphasis on the crises and conflicts throughout the OSCE area. From the outset, we have placed a significant emphasis on Ukraine, as evidenced by my first official visit as chair in office to Kiev. During this visit, I engaged with the Ukrainian leadership, gained insights into how our organization can further help addressing the needs of Ukraine and its people. We must, and we will do our utmost to protect and defend Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity in accordance with international law. We will also remain firm in joining our like-minded partners in calling out Russia for breaches of its commitments, just as we did in joining the last invocation of the Moscow mechanism in February. Allow me also to reiterate the Maltese chairpersonship's commitment to support all efforts to achieve the release of the 3 illegally detained OSCE officials. Beyond Ukraine, our focus extends to the protracted conflicts within the OSCE region, including the Transnistrian settlement process and the evolving situation in the South Caucasus. I'm personally committed to being present on the ground to ensure that we're not just overseeing, but actively engaging. My recent visits to Serbia, Kosovo, and Moldova, as well as upcoming missions to the South Caucasus, are part of our concerted effort to listen attentively to our partners and engage in meaningful dialogues, ensuring our actions are informed by the perspectives and the needs of relevant stakeholders. Through these engagements, we aim not only to support, but to amplify the impact of our field missions. We are committed to rebuilding trust and confidence on the ground, reinforcing OSCE's role as an active and dynamic force for peace. Regarding the economic and environmental dimension, we are emphasizing the connection between climate and security. Closer to home, in the Mediterranean, we are already witnessing an alarming increase in frequency and intensity of wildfires, floods, and other natural disasters. These not only endanger the immediate well-being of our citizens, but also pose a serious threat to the security and prosperity of future generations. The Maltese chairpersonship is also focusing on the economic aspect of climate change, with particular emphasis on how decarbonization strategies can both mitigate climate change while at the same time creating alternative economic opportunities, especially for economically fossil fuel dependent countries. Additionally, we are addressing the important issue of food security. The increasingly visible effects of climate change raise additional concerns related to sustainable food protection in already vulnerable countries around the globe, which potentially further exacerbate tensions in OSCE participating states and partners for cooperation. Regarding the human dimension, which has traditionally been very close to the heart of the Helsinki Commission, we will pursue our path of protecting and promoting human rights and fundamental freedoms, democracy, and rule of law. In a year when over 1 billion people will have an opportunity to participate in electoral processes across the globe, we believe that fostering media and information literacy is key to strengthening public resilience, counter disinformation, and strengthen our democracies. This is why we chose media literacy as one of our priorities. The safety of journalists is another key area which we want to reinforce. We want to step up our joint efforts to ensure a safe and enabling environment for journalists, especially women journalists, who continue to be targets for hate and harassment online. Crisis and armed conflicts increase the risks and vulnerabilities for human trafficking, another priority area that is being addressed. We are working to prevent, protect, prosecute, and form partnerships to work to effectively end trafficking in human beings once and for all. Mr. Chair, the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly has played an important role in advancing the OSCE's agenda and in ensuring respect for OSCE commitments, notably through its intensive election observation activities. We welcome the continued active participation of the Helsinki Commission in the PA. Your commission is a unique link between parliaments, parliamentarians, the PA, and civil society. Distinguished representatives, this overview offers a window into our extensive range of initiatives, providing a glimpse into our comprehensive agenda. Throughout our chairpersonship, Malta remains guided by these priorities, by the urgent need to confront the challenges that face us with unity and determination. We are committed to the OSCE principles and commitments, including those enshrined in the Helsinki Final Act and the Charter of Paris. We reaffirm our shared obligation to uphold these principles, emphasizing that they are not only optional, but integral to the functioning of this organization. With a vision to fostering security, promoting cooperation, and safeguarding human dignity, we are determined to enhance resilience and strengthen the security of our shared future. I'm hopeful that with the continued dedication, we will keep turning our efforts into impactful outcomes we will all strive for the benefit of the organization and for the benefit of our people. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Borgen. Hey, you're too humble. When you say you're island nation, you need to point out you're island nation, which is the center of the world. Gee whiz, just congratulations on the success of Malta. And we also want to welcome Director General Neville Aquilina, who is the Director General Global Issues, International Development, and Economic Affairs. And to be in Malta and have those positions is congratulations and exciting. We now go immediately to Senator Richard Blumenthal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. For Mr. Borg, as you know, a number of the OSCE nations have significant Russian assets, principally in Belgium, but throughout Europe. that could be used to support Ukraine in fighting Russia. Do you have a position on whether those assets can be seized and directed to help Ukraine?
Well, this is a very important question, which also in other forums, like the European Union, as Malta celebrates 20 years since accession, we are at the moment discussing and also deciding upon. Our united approach to help Ukraine win back its sovereign territory will definitely leave no stone unturned. And we are seriously looking into this. We are also making sure that there is legal certainty in whatever we do, and that Ukraine receives the necessary support in time. They need our support in order to stop this attack, to respond, and to win back their country. I saw in President Zelensky and his team resilience and true commitment to make sure that they achieve this. But they need European and transatlantic support. I also received this message loud and clear last week when I was in Moldova by the president herself, but also the prime minister and his team. So we have to make sure to do whatever it takes in time, and also make sure to hold Russia accountable. The setting up of the register of damages is definitely a step in the right direction. But yes, we have to be creative and with legal certainty move forward also to support Ukraine.
Well, I would suggest respectfully that your support for using those assets could be very important. We need unity, and I am helping to lead efforts on the part of our country to provide authority for the President, the Repo Act, so that he can move forward with assets that may be here in the United States. But of course, we have only a small portion of them. So I think your advocacy for using those assets could be very important. Let me,
Senator, I don't want to, distinguished guests, I need to apologize. We're voting now. And so you can tell I'm going to leave this in really good hands, okay? Better hands than it started. So, but Senator, thank you as we proceed, and I deeply regret, but.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to take I have to go back for a vote as well.
Wow.
Do you want to take a recess until you come back? When I'm finished with my question.
I'm not. Yes, we'll recess, but I know that. Hey, I know one thing. What we can do is submit questions for the record. I'm concerned. I actually am managing floor votes after this, but the bottom line, your service has never been more important. And then I'm so grateful to work with good people like Senator Blumenthal, and you can see Democrat, Republican, Senate, House. We want you to succeed, and in the midst of every meeting known to modern man. So
thank you.
With that,
I'm going to have to take off too. At 2 p.m., we're dealing with the Mayorkas impeachment, which you have.
Well, I want you to
send over to us.
I want the senator to stay here for another 4 or 5 hours, and so y'all.
Thank you.
I want to apologize as well, but I look forward to continuing this conversation. in another forum.
So you've got to be back at 2 over there. Okay,
Thank
Mahe.
you, and thank you for your support, and we'll be willing to also answer your questions that will be submitted in writing.
We
Thank you.
shall. Again, hey.
Thank you.
Again, thank you. And with all of this, although I really wish the senator would stay here, anyway, see, we can agree on what you're doing, and but sometimes we have disagreement. With that, we shall adjourn.